Smackdown is over. Let's get right into it. This episode was incredible. It kicked off with a brawl in the parking lot between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre, where it appears that Drew McIntyre crashed his car into Jacob Fatu's. He then ripped the cracked windshield off of Jacob Fatu's car, pulled him out, and started attacking him. And then he came out, cut a promo. Jacob Fatu came out, took him out, and then they had another brawl in the middle of the show, and he got put through the announce table in that first segment. But they had another brawl later in the show, and then, oh my God, sorry. They had another brawl to end the show where they were fighting like on top of this big, I don't even know what to call it, but they were probably a good 20 feet up in the air. Got Drew McIntyre. They were probably a good 20 feet up in the air, and it ended with them Drew pulled Jacob off along with himself. It was the most literal suicide dive I have ever seen. I think it would be really funny if they showed up brawling on Raw or NXT or something. I think that would be really funny, really cool. But these brawls were pretty cool, and it's getting me excited for their feud. I liked this. Next, we had a match for the WWE Tag Team Championships between the MFTs and our Weapon, Damian Priest and R-Truth. The MFT's first title defense of their new current reign after winning it from the Wyatt Six, and you would not believe your eyes, R-Truth and Damian Priest won the Tag Team Championships. This was incredible. I'm so happy. I cannot wait to see what Damian Priest and R-Truth can do with these tag titles. They are so entertaining, and having this fairy tale Mickey Mouse tag team title run. They won with the help of the Wyatt Six, who took out the MFTs because they were obviously trying to interfere with the match. And then we actually saw the fallout of this later in the show in a backstage segment with the entire MFTs. Solo was pissed off. He was yelling at Tama Tonga and JC Mateo. Just pissed off that they lost the tag titles. And JC Mateo was like, it's not our fault. Solo was like, it is your fault. And there's no one else to blame. And then Tama Tonga started saying, give the lantern back to the Wyatt Six. It's changing you. It's not helping. You're starting to sound like Roman. Now the MFTs are getting a little juicy. Okay? Now there's some tension. Potentially them separating. Potentially Tama Tonga leaving the MFTs. Potentially going to help Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania against CM Punk or in the build-up to WrestleMania. Maybe Tama Tonga comes and helps Roman without Solo's permission, and that pisses him off even more and has him scream at him again. This is getting interesting though, and I'm really liking where they're going with this, and I hope they keep this storyline going. Next, we had a match between Sami Zayn and Aleister Black, and Trick Williams, Worldwide Willie. Trick Willie was ringside watching the entire match, and he was taunting Sami Zayn, chanting "whoop that trick" with the crowd, interacting with him, and all that good stuff. And it was pissing Sami Zayn off, and eventually, instead of going in and attacking Aleister Black at the end of the match, or close to the end of the match, he went over and pushed Trick Williams. And Trick Williams, of course, retaliated, and then he splashed his water bottle on Sami Zayn, helping the water bottles kind of get revenge for the vile things that Sami Zayn has been doing to them over the past couple weeks. Further igniting their feud for WrestleMania between Sami Zayn and the Water Bottles. The Water Bottles finally got put over. They finally got their moment to shine. And they finally stood tall on this episode. And I'm very happy. And the Water Bottles are starting to gain a little bit of momentum. And I think that could be really crucial for the Water Bottle. But since he took his eye off the ball, Aleister Black hit the Black Mass, a nasty Black Mass I might add. He actually kicked the shit out of him. and ended up winning. But before he pinned him, you could see him go, Sammy, Sammy, Sammy. So obviously disappointed in him. Please have Sami Zayn do something heelish or more aggressive. I think Aleister Black winning here, though, was the right decision. We had a backstage segment with Kit Wilson and The Miz and Danhausen, where he kind of just popped up out of nowhere. And they started talking. He said he wanted to be his bodyguard. He can be the muscle to protect Kit Wilson from Jimmy Jam. And The Miz didn't like it, and he just said, like, get out or whatever. He called him Dracula, and Danhausen was like, who's Dracula? And then he was like, fine, whatever, stay cursed, I don't care. And then he walked away, and a ladder fell right behind them. And as you can see, there's a piece of tape on it that says something. I don't know if we're supposed to see that, but the camera was zoomed in on it. But I can't tell what it says. Let me know what you think. And then, after Kit Wilson left to go call out Jimmy Jam, Miz turned around and was like, curses aren't real, and then a ladder fell on him. So, this was really funny. I actually really liked this, proving the curse is very much real. We had a segment with Jade Cargill where she started cutting a promo, just basically told Rhea Ripley to come out there. They had a better promo than last time. It wasn't a phenomenal promo by any means, but it wasn't bad. It was good. It was solid. However, the more interesting part, I think, is we saw Michin and B-Fab talking together last week backstage during a segment, I believe, with Bayley and Lyra. No, that I'm thinking of Maxine and Austin Theory, but we saw them in a backstage segment last week talking, and it looked like they were going to come out and attack Jade, but they ended up teaming with Jade and helped her take out Rhea Ripley. For a second, I thought they were just going to have B-Fab and Michin beat up Rhea Ripley, which would have been the most unrealistic thing ever, but Jade Cargill got involved. I was like, thank God. And while this might not be the most crazy thing in the world, it does make this more interesting. This is better than what we've been getting. I really hope they explain why B-Fab and Michin decided to team with Jade Cargill. Maybe it's just because they realized they're not going to fucking beat her, so they might as well join her. I really hope they follow up with this and say why they joined, give them a chance to be on the mic and explain their actions. But I'm liking where this is going. I think this could maybe help the feud a bit, and this is definitely going to help B-Fab and Michin, unless they're just, like Rhea Ripley's toys to get squashed or something, which now that I think about it, that's probably exactly what they're for. But for B-Fab and Michin being involved with the biggest women's star in professional women's wrestling history, that's pretty huge for them. Overall, I liked this, and I'm hoping they follow up on this, and this potentially makes the feud better. Next, we had a match between Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxium. It was a good match, nothing crazy, except the fact that Candice LeRae showed up ringside. Johnny Gargano was, of course, planking backstage, and it kind of just looked like Candice had enough, and she walked away, and well, she didn't walk away in the video or in the segment, but she showed up to this match and costed Fraxium by punching Nathan Frazier when the referee wasn't looking. And then she gave this look to Alex Shelley. Chris Sabin didn't even realize what happened. He just rolled up Nathan Frazier right away. But is she flirting with Alex Shelley? Is she going to cheat on Johnny Gargano because he's planking? Unfortunately, this makes me think even more that Johnny Gargano is going to get released because it's looking like they're already making plans for Candice LeRae. This is also interesting. I would like to see where this goes. Is she going to be like kind of the manager for the faction like she was with DIY? I'm not exactly sure. I'm intrigued though. Next. Oh my God. This was incredible. We finally got Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov once again. There was so many false finishes. It was an incredible in-ring match. However, before we get to the result, Carmelo Hayes did like a plancha over the top rope suicide dive thing to the outside to Ilya Dragunov, and he kind of kept his momentum going. Sorry for the Ilya cheeks in your face. But he kind of kept his momentum going and like hit the side of his ribs on the corner of the announce table. And I really hope he's not actually hurt, because that looked like it was painful. But he was obviously still able to finish the match just fine, so it's looking like it's not too serious or anything. Very glad that we finally got the open challenge back. There was this was crazy. We had Ilya going for the coast to coast, and he jumped. Melo hit the first 48 midair just like when he won the title. Ilya popped up and then hit the H-bomb right after, pinning Carmelo Hayes, and he got his foot on the ropes on the last second. That was crazy. Melo ended up retaining, and my one and only complaint about this match is Ilya lost on a sunset flip powerbomb, which isn't Melo's signature. It didn't look that devastating. It's not his finisher. It's not his signature. It's not his finisher, so like, I don't know why they had him get pinned off of that, but that's my only complaint. This was incredible. This segment had me fucking cackling laughing, bro. I was wheezing, mainly because I'm sick, but I was laughing hard. We had Kit Wilson call out Fat Phobic Jelly Roll. We got some slam poetry, and oh my god, Kit Wilson brought the heat. I mean, he cooked it with some of these lines, bro. The biggest one was like something about him being so fat he couldn't see his own willy. And then Jelly Roll brought the heat right back and said, I don't need to see my own willy. Your mother sees it for me. And there was another roast about his belly. And then Jelly Roll said his belly might be big, but it's on his mother's back or something like that. This was hilarious. They cooked each other. This was like my favorite segment of the show besides the Carmelo and Ilya match. This was amazing and one of the funniest segments I've seen in a long time. And not only that, but we have gotten it confirmed that Jelly Roll is going to make his Smackdown debut, in-ring debut, in his first ever one-on-one match against Kit Wilson next week. I can't wait. And you want to know why? That's right, baby. It's time for SawyerTheLatte to oil up. I don't know if he's going to do it here or if he's going to save it for WrestleMania, but the possibility of SawyerTheLatte oiling up, I can't wait, dude. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. It went exactly how I expected. It was a good match, but the Charlexa just caused a DQ, probably setting up the TLC match at WrestleMania. Not necessarily fantastic, not terrible, just okay, cool, good. Now let's talk about all things Randy Orton finally. So a lot happened with Randy Orton in this show. I'll start off with this. He had a backstage interaction with Matt Cardona, and Matt Cardona questioned Randy about his actions last week. And Matt was saying, why did you do that? Whatever. And Randy, oh my God, he got pissed at that. He said, you got the nerve to talk to me of all people like that. Don't you got some action figures to play with, you mark-ass stooge indie nerd? Stay out of my business. You wouldn't understand. After he nailed him with a punch. I loved this. I love how aggressive heel Randy is. However, what I did not like was later in the show, he apologized to Jelly Roll for pushing him. Obviously, Jelly being the goody two-shoes who he is, who I might add is incredible at this. He feels like he's been doing this for a long time. He's good on the mic. He's good at selling his emotions, his facial expressions, everything. He's good at being emotional and connecting with the audience, but he said sorry to Jelly Roll. He was like, it's okay. I really hated this. I was like, no, why? Randy Orton was so aggressive last week. What happened to that Randy Orton? That's the Randy Orton I want to see. Why are we following up a insanely brutal heel turn with him saying, I'm sorry? Why? And it was kind of making me mad. I was like, no, is WWE going to mess this up now too? He cut a promo in the ring, and he was like, I still love you, Cody, like an ex-girlfriend. Why do you, no, what do you mean you still love him? You left him in a pool of his own blood and gave him brain damage. However, he did turn on the fans. He said, that smile that you guys make me feel is the most empty feeling I have ever felt. Which, that part was good, but the fans aren't the main focus. It's Cody Rhodes. However, I did like in that promo, he said that those voices in his head are telling him he needs to win number 15. And he's going to win number 15 at WrestleMania 42. That part I liked. But then it got even worse. In the main event segment, he came out to apologize to Matt Cardona. And I was like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? And he started saying sorry. He gave him a hug. They shook hands. And then, thank God, he kicked him in the balls. No more getting creamed on for Chelsea. Now she's definitely not getting creamed on like she did before. And then he destroyed him. It looked like he was going to do the chair shot thing again. He totally redeemed himself. Like the Dumb and Dumber meme when Harry had on 2 sets of gloves. Oh my God. I think it was a different part of Dumb and Dumber. But you get what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. And then he stuck Cardona's hand in the chair, in the ring, and then stomped it, like breaking his wrist or whatever, canonically. And I was like, thank God we get to end the episode happy. Because I thought they were going to fuck this up. I was going to cry. Thank God. Thank you, WWE, for not making him regret this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I thought this episode of Smackdown was incredible. But let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. If you want to check out another video, you can click on one on screen. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. And bye.